Hey everybody, Cinis here. I'm bringing you today a single clan Melting Remnant run I did as part of practicing for all clans. And on the note of all clans, I'm going to be live with a race about an hour after I upload this over on Never Nathaniel's channel, twitch.tv/never_Nathaniel. And before that, probably right as this video goes up, will be the state of the game. So please do check those out. Also, join my Discord, which has the link in the description. So this run is Burn Bright Flicker strategy. I'm using it basically just as a way to practice for all clans because Melting Remnant is by far my weakest run. This is like run 3, maybe 4 of this particular practice session. And I have a fairly well-developed strategy, although it's not a particularly consistent one as there are a lot of different pieces I can use. The main one, and my personal favorite, is Paraffin Enforcer, which is a good source of offensive scaling, but plenty of other options are available as well. So, I'm looking for a Paraffin Enforcer, and so I take a Remnant Banner, even though I would otherwise want unit upgrades, but I get lucky and get it first try. Holdover definitely goes on Whiplash, allowing me to keep Burnout for essentially as long as I want it. And then I purge out a Train Steward just because they get in the way. So Paraffin Enforcer is pretty much the top of my pieces list, or at least top of my list of pieces I can get early game. Its Rage ability gives a bunch of power to Flicker that it wouldn't otherwise have, and then its second hit lets me kill backlines easier. Just an overall great card. And I guess while I'm in the business of plugging my random stuff, I should also mention that I have a speedrun guide currently being worked on. Link will be in the description as well as in my Discord server. It currently has like full annotations for Inferno, Sketch's Shadow Siege, and eventually this run. This run's about halfway in progress. Should have taken Lady of the Reformed here, but you'll see later that I get another chance to redeem myself. Reroll, and I opt against taking Endless. But then I get 5 dupe. And I consider duping Paraffin Enforcer, which is generally a solid strategy. But I am thinking, for whatever reason, I just felt Whiplash, honestly. I'm not sure why I did this in the moment, but it turned out to work out. So I can't really complain. So here's the setup. My main worry is a lack of defensive scaling, which Lady of the Reform would have solved. But Immortal Trade is a pretty decent stopgap, because Flicker's full HP bar is enough to deal with Daedalus, especially when the attack is scaling this fast as it is now and will continue to be for the rest of the run. Just because 5 holdover Whiplashes has a way of doing that. I'm using Dregs to chump block to save some HP, and with the full damage in tow, Daedalus dies in 3 phases. Flicker was totally fine. No rares. But as you can see, I am redeemed, and I'm able to take Lady of the Reformed here. Capacity is necessary to play all 3 of those units, so I take that. And Lady of the Reformed acts as some pretty good defensive scaling. I definitely should not have taken this side, I'm not going to lie, but Immortal Trade is a good way of making sure I'm okay and relentless, so it worked out alright. Just I would definitely rather have had removal and unit upgrades. Or not unit upgrades, spell upgrades. Here's fight 4. I could have taken the trial. I didn't have to, but I could have. And I've already got the offensive scaling I need to beat a single one of those tanky units. The hard part is going to be against Fel and Seraph when there are multiple of them. And that's mostly what I'm worried about, alongside defensive scaling during Relentless. I can use defensive scaling in the form of Stealth, as I just did, but that's not that effective because I don't have holdover, and it's also not very effective because it gets rid of Lady of the Reformed's Revenge ability, which means I have to worry about playing Burnout cards. I take Reason removal to clear Ember Drain because I know that's going to happen, or something like it anyway. So now I have Void Binding for my defensive scaling, and that makes me a lot more comfortable. I purge 2 cards there. Shade Splitter is probably a better purge than Train Steward, so I probably ought to have purged 2. Here are unit upgrades. I take Multi-Strike and 10 attack. I can't take Large Stone because of the way that my capacity is set up, and I do want a different stone when I get to Fel. all three of these units, Flicker and the two others, are also still definitely key to my strategy, so I can't really accept the loss of not being able to play one of them for all the way up to Fell. Hence, no large stone, even though in a vacuum it would probably be fine. Definitely would have been worth playing cards to get the Collector rather than putting it on the second floor. For the sake of speed, I guess I didn't do that, but just a minor mistake, though. Not a huge deal. So you can see, because of the stealth, I have to use Wicklash for safety's sake. Just to make sure Lady of the Reformed has enough burnout to do her job. Which she definitely does, and her extra health allows me to deal with Crystal Cloak, which is one of the hardest bosses for this run normally. I take nothing here. Thought I took another Reason Removal, but I guess that was another run. And once again, I prioritize removal. And I take Flicker's Liquor, which got a somewhat of a buff recently. It basically turns my dregs into cost reducers of another card in my hand. And Paraffin Enforcer is now going to multi-strike 2. So it hits 3 times, which means Flicker is actually actively scaling up in rage. And because Lady of the Reformed is also a burnout unit, the same is true for her. So that's a pretty strong offensive scaling combination, and one I really like just because I can use it fairly often. Both of these units are only uncommons. Again, you can see why I'm worrying about defensive scaling here, because against this Wrathcrest fight, although I have gotten a bit unlucky with the Rage procs so far, Lady of the Reformed is still having some trouble. Just play some morsels. It is worth Entumbra Assaulting to make sure I can at least have a chance at letting Lady of the Reformed live, which I get somewhat lucky and am able to do through a combination of stealth and lifesteal that gets her back to 39 health, and now I'm in the driver's seat, not worrying about much. One turn before Relentless, and my Rage setup is not very lucky here, but I have enough Pyre health to tank it, so I can't complain too much. And now I've got 3 very strong units here. Fell is dead pretty easily here in Relentless. Lots of HP left on Flicker. Take none of these, and then I chose Energy. In retrospect, I might have chosen Draw since I have Flicker's Liquor, but as it was, it worked out. Again, I'm prioritizing removal. I'm also contractually obligated to remark on my nice amount of Pyre health here. In retrospect, I would have purged the Antumbra Assaults instead of the Wicklashes there, but it worked out fine. Here I dupe Reason Removal, and then take my champ upgrades and move on. Only thing that really worries me at the moment, since my Reason Removals are 1 cost, is running up against Purifiers, but that doesn't happen. I run up against Pyre Wings, which are actually a lot less scary when it comes to Reason Removal, because their Ember Drain is spread out, unlike my normal strategy, which focuses Ember Drain on a single unit. Getting a turn of Stealth also helps with the Ember Drain issue. Now with that sort of set of tricks in tow, I'm doing pretty well here in this fight, and just using Flicker as my primary damage engine. He's got enough burnout, and now with the 3rd tier champion upgrade, enough health that it's pretty safe to do so. And I do now realize, and I'll use this in the coming fights, that making Paraffin Enforcer a burnout unit himself through playing of Wicklash is a very good idea, because it's essentially the best offensive scaling I have, giving him, I think, 9 rage, might be 6 rage per turn, and then the 5 attack goes a long way because of his multi-strike 2. I get Reason Removal down to 0 cost, and then also add Holdover to ensure I don't need to worry about Ember Drain for most of the fight. And then here I do rectify my mistake from earlier and purge out the Antumbra Assault. So with all that, here we go against Seraph. This is Seraph the Temperate, so my main worry is getting enough defensive scaling to ensure Flicker lives through Relentless. And not seeing Lady of the Reformed first turn is a little bit worrying, but I do get engulfed in smoke turn 2, and that makes me feel a lot safer, because Lady of the Reformed is going to live a while. I see my Holdover Reason removal on turn 3, which in this fight not only lets me clear Ember Drain, but also lets me clear Sack, which I'm very happy about. And I do have to manage my burnout because of the stealth on Lady of the Reformed, but it's not the end of the world. I have, obviously, more than enough burnout extension to make myself at ease. I just have to target it properly, and then I'm good to go. The double tank waves were indeed a little bit scary, as I predicted much earlier. But seeing as I have a 123 by 3 Paraffin Enforcer in the back that I don't even need to do much with, I'm clearly doing fine. I can't help but lose Lady of the Reformed here, but it's okay. Seraph is dead, especially after removing Sap and buffing a Paraffin Enforcer, and that's the run. This run is 10 minutes and 40 seconds, just a little bit faster than my All Clans run, and it's the world record in melting Remnant by default because no submissions are in this category on speedrun.com yet. So with that, that's the run. Hope you enjoyed. If you did, please do like, subscribe, all that jazz, and if you didn't, leave a comment with how I can improve, and either way, have a good one. This has been Cinis.